All right. Thank you everyone for coming. This is, I can't remember last year, but November, December, the numbers start to dwindle. But this is a great turnout tonight. Thanks for coming. Is that microphone? Yeah, all right, I can hear myself. It's probably loud enough. So welcome to CocoaHeads number 89. Next month will be 90. Is that a multiple of 12? No, it's not. Tonight's presentations, we've got Jackie Lee, Jennifer, Adam, Pavel, and PJ. I think the presentations tonight are going to be a mix of medium ones and short ones, so it's quite a relaxed sort of night. We should be out before 10 o'clock, hopefully. Some nights we're not. But tonight's agenda, we'll kick off 15 minutes ago. We'll have a quick the month that was presentation by Pete. If you came here to see me do the month that was, sorry, it's Pete. We're going to do some presentations, have some pizza, and we're going to have some lightning talks as well. So introductions. If you're not sure who I am and why I'm standing up the front, I'm Jesse, and I've been the organizer of CocoaHeads the last 18 months or so. I've been attending not since the beginning, but since sort of 2008-ish. I think there are a couple of people here who have been attending since the beginning. 89 months ago, minus January's. I've been developing for iOS sort of since 2009. I work at a little startup in Richmond called Bean Hunter. I'm Sergek on Twitter. First thing, who's new? Who hasn't been to CocoaHeads before? Who's making November the first month? Awesome. That's excellent. Welcome. That's really cool. Who was new last month and has come back? Who's on their second month? Who's new to Coco? This slide I've had since I've been having this start slide deck. And since it started, we've had watchOS arrive and tvOS arrive. So Coco is now multiple things. And I'd even say now I'm new to it with tvOS. I haven't played with it yet. So who's new? Who hasn't opened Xcode before, or who hasn't compiled anything? Who's still trying to compile something in Xcode? So CocoaHeads has been around since July 2007. That's 89 months ago minus January's. We're the second Thursday of the month. We're sponsored by the Melbourne community. And if you've attended CocoaHeads before, we normally have sort of beer and pizza. Tonight, there's actually some other varieties as well. We'll get to that. It's got to do with the sponsored bit. Sort of have 2 to 3 presentations. We have some lightning talks. It's all quite relaxed. Drinks and pizza, as I mentioned. We have a monthly hack night on the last Tuesday of the month. I still think the Little Creatures Dining Hall, which has been the venue for years, is still open. I heard it was closing. We're at Melbourne Coco on Twitter, melbournecocoaheads.com. We have a Google group, which is like a forum, but via email. And we have a GitHub profile, which I haven't been keeping up to date. But we also have a Slack channel. That's probably the new cool thing. We have a Slack channel. There's 130 people in the Slack channel. It's actually quite interesting. If you want to get involved, you ping Melbourne Coco for an invite. The only reason you have to do that is because I haven't automated it yet, so everyone's welcome. If you'd like to contribute to CocoaHeads, if you're sort of inspired by being here, you can give a presentation, a lightning talk on anything that's kind of related to the industry. Sometimes, little tech startups come up and do talks about electrical engineering, and it's just so interesting. There really is no limit to what you can present on. Take photos and mention at Melbourne Coco on Twitter. Ask questions on the Slack and Google group. Ask questions here. Turn up here. That's how you can contribute. Drink the beer. Tonight, our sponsors are VINOMOFO, and they do wine, and they've provided their best selections for tonight. And Luke's up at the back there to sort of say hi from VINOMOFO. Code like a mofo. Been there, done that. Thanks, Luke. And you guys are based in kind of Richmond, soon to be Cremorne-ish? And our hosts, second half of this year, have been Teamsquare, and they're also awesome. They provide this great venue for us for very little fuss. They've given me an Apple TV to do the AirPlay tonight because I keep forgetting my one. And the microphones and all the gear they've just happily donated for us to use. So they provide this space, and it actually is level 4 as well as this level 1, and it goes all the way back this way. You're actually only seeing a small portion of it. They've got amazing amenities. They've got great technology. They've got really fast Wi-Fi, even just for us here. I think the streaming's still working. Or maybe it's not. Well, it says it is. It's not their fault. They've got a strong community here, and you can come and co-work here for a day. Anybody can try for a day. They're home to a number of pretty well-known startups in Melbourne. I think Pin Payments is here, CoinJar's here. I'm going to forget a couple that no one's shouting them out. Okay, there's a number of them here. Jeff Taneng was working here last time I spoke to him. He's probably still working. So yeah, that's Teamsquare. They're starting to take over the meetup space. There's a lot of meetups that are here as well, so we're really lucky to have basically every second Thursday locked in, hopefully locked in for next year, at least for next month. General business. I don't have a slide for it, but how was NS Camp? It was good. Who went to NS Camp? Welcome back. Too short? Any comments on NS Camp? No coding. You did a WhatsApp, Audrey? Awesome. I trust Audrey to do some code. Yeah. Okay. The only general business I have, I'm sure Pete may have who's shipped some code this month, maybe. But Aaron, who also shipped this month, he shipped a Apple TV app that kind of visualizes your Twitter feed, and it's actually a really good kind of dashboard to sort of just have a Twitter feed run up. Anyway, he's sent me some promo codes, so if anyone's got a new Apple TV, is interested in grabbing an app, I've got some. I worked out how to use a label printer, and I printed them out, so you can come up and grab one. And that's thanks to Aaron. Aaron's he's from Queensland, I think, and he's in the Slack channel, so you can thank him on there. It's called AirFeed app as well. So if you like one, come and grab one. I've got 10, I think. All right, the famous who's hiring slide. This might take a while. Do you want to just put your hand up if you're hiring? All right, that's not too bad. That's good. That's good. We're going to start on the left, to my left, your right, from the front and kind of go that way. So if you put your hand up at the front there behind Oliver. You're at the front, so you can go first. No, just stand up and say who you are and where you're from, and you're hiring. Awesome. Ed's right behind you. Who doesn't? You've come to the right place. Awesome. Thanks for coming along. Adam. Sounds amazing. And I missed the hands further back, but yep. Awesome. Luke, did you want to spiel again? You can. No, you happy? All right. And then on this side. Oh. Awesome. And Odyssey, I missed you, sorry, Ashton. So everyone. Was there one more? I just had a thought in my own head. We should have a segment one month where everyone just gets up and says what they do and who they work for, because a lot of that was really interesting. And yeah, it's great that you're hiring. Thanks for coming along. Wasn't the longest who's hiring, but not too bad. Job market is thick, seems. All right, so my talking's done. Pete, over to you. For the month it was.
Alrighty, so for those of you that don't know me, I'm Pete Goldsmith, that's my Twitter handle, and I'm a iOS developer for itty bitty apps. Senior, yes. Added on there. Updated LinkedIn. It was a great moment. All right, so kick off the month it was. We all got new IMACS. The 4K and 5K got a slight refresh. Also, we got the new Magic Mouse. The, the harpoon turtle when it's charging. Apple decided to, lift the prices for all of the products. Thanks, China's economy. Facebook released a blog post about they thought they might have had an issue and then they fixed the issue. Looks like that they were draining the battery life of everyone's iPhone from silently playing videos in the background. Apple pulled 250 apps from the App Store because an ad SDK did nefarious things like harvesting the people's Apple ID email addresses from private APIs. Really nasty stuff. Mostly affected the Chinese market, but still, it's awesome to see that Apple actually comes in and yanks stuff when it's being super... No! Advertisers, tracking users. Jeez, what world is this? Also, we got lots and lots and lots of new emoji. That was great. I started out with the upside down smiley. It wasn't quite appropriate, so... HTC released an iPhone. Yep, let's leave that quote there. Transit information in the Apple Maps app for Sydney. I started to write out every single beta release that we had in the last month for every single SDK, for every single platform. This is that slide. I just lost count. Like, there were so many betas, so many platforms. Apple TV got released. Now raise your hand if you went out and purchased Apple TV 4. It's pretty substantial. That's like about a third. Keep your hand raised if you're loving it. Oh, that's not as much as I thought. Okay, I'm still yet to dive in, but I've got lots of content that Plex will hopefully allow me to play. All my totally legit MKVs that I've got. Blizzard purchased Candy Crush for $5.9 billion, or the company that develops Candy Crush. That's a lot of dough. But from the last time I read, Candy Crush makes somewhere between 30 to 40 million a month in their revenue, so I think Blizzard did well. There was a product that got released. That's an actual thing. That's an emoji keyboard. How awesome is that? It's even got the new ones. It's like the first letter of my name is like right there. Twitter did that thing that increased 6% engagement of favorites or likes. I don't use the native Twitter client. Who uses a native Twitter client? Who uses Tweetbot? Who uses another client? Tweetbot wins. So this time last year, iOS 8 was at 57.74% adoption. So, sorry, you probably can't read that. Bottom chart is the adoption rate of iOS 8, and the top is the dropping of iOS 7. Top chart is the adoption of iOS 9, and the blue line is the dropping adoption of iOS 8. So iOS 9 is absolutely smashing it in comparison to iOS 8. Still can convince a certain client to let me roll out iOS 9 and above, but we're getting there. Maybe in a month's time instead of 6 months' time. Some Atlassian people are really happy. For those that don't know, Atlassian filed for their IPO. They're going to go on the NASDAQ. Certain equity holders are going to be very, very happy if things go well. Sorry, they sponsored the Sydney CocoaHeads. I bet they're getting fancy beer. Yeah, we do have wine. We've got, yeah, You're right, it really does work out. Apple released just a few days ago Apple Music for Android. Raise your hand if you're an Android user. Doors over there. No. That was a trap. No. Did you download the Apple Music app? Is it going well? I hear good reports. Almost the same. So terrible. Test flight, they made some changes. You can now go up to 2,000 testers and a 60-day expiration instead of the 30 days. Struggling to understand the benefits still of the enterprise developer account if you can't distribute to test flight. But yeah, with 2,000 testers for the normal Apple account, that's pretty awesome. And finally today, I hear people were purchasing these things. Who went out and grabbed an iPad Pro? Nice! Android phone and iPad Pro. That's all over the shot. I know our designer picked up an iPad Pro and all of a sudden the Slack channel was the most active it's been in like the last week. Brings us to people need to get on the Slack channel, and I need to probably ask people for things that they've shipped a little earlier than maybe 6 hours before I do these slides. So all I've got is this awesome product that all of you should purchase. It's reveal. Yes, it now has document support, watchOS, tvOS, and like 8 levels more awesome. Please speak to Vlas and Oliver and Sean, and they will explain all of the wonderful things. Now, before I finish up, does anyone else have something that they've shipped in the last month that they didn't get to me because I was terrible in my comms? You shipped something?
Yeah, we shipped the November app.
Yeah.
Everybody is into growing moles.
Yeah.
Download it for iOS and Android.
Built by none other than like the Mo of CocoaHeads. Yeah, nice. Yeah. Jennifer. Go fish. Sorry, it's peer delivery. Oh, okay. Right, awesome. Human trafficking. I can get people delivered through an app. No, joking. And that is the month it was. Next up we have Jackie. Jackie's up. Jackie's going to...
Before you do that,
Oh.
turn it off so it's...
Oh, sorry.
Seems so like when you sort of... to refresh your beverage. You can just wait
Yeah.
30 seconds.
Hello. Yes. Okay, can we start? My name is Jackie, and I'm working for realestate.com.au. So before I start, can I ask you to promise that you won't throw your shoes to me? Because my topic is why app code is more productive than Xcode. May I ask how many app code users here? 1, 2, 3. Wow, less 5%. Okay, not as good as I thought. Okay, today I'm not going to say about why Xcode is a horrible IDE, and I'm just going to demo why I think Xcode is awesome and why it's powerful. I started using JetBrains IDE since 2009, from IntelliJ IDEA to Rubyman and then AppCode. So I'm still using AppCode every day. Okay, let's start from some demo. And you guys can decide whether AppCode is more powerful or Xcode is more powerful. To just get some supporters, the first important thing I'm going to talk is AppCode has built-in review integration. Now I run the app, and review is here. Thank you. Okay, let's start from some code. Now I'm going to create a class. New class. Okay. And now full screen. And now I'm going to create a init method. Thank you. Generate method, generate the init method for me. And I'm going to create a private property. Let's see the property is data. It's a NS mutable array. Sorry. And I want to put this property to a private category. Create a new property. And enter. Then the private category is created for me. And now I'm going to add some element to this array. I'll just copy something. Navigate through recent files. Now I copied some class to this new class, and then AppCode will auto-import for me. And now I can extract a variable. Okay, it's here. another variable. And now I feel that there are too many lines in this init method, so I want to just extract the method. I don't want this init method getting too big, so now I can extract the method here. Yes. Next step. Because it's a UI table view controller, so I need to have some number for how to see. I can overwrite our implement methods from the data source. So number of rows in section. Return self.data. Yeah. And in this setup method, if I feel the serializer needs to be a parameter instead of the local variable, I can use Command Option P to extract parameter, and now this is the parameter. And the usage of this method is also changed. And if later I decide I want to use just n as a string in this mutable array, I need to delete this variable. I just comment out. And AMP code can tell me this parameter is not used. So I can just remove declaration with the parameter, and the usage is also changed. So if I feel the setup method, the name is too general, so I want to rename the method, I can just rename it. Say setup data. Then also the usage of this method is also renamed. So let's see if you have 10 usage or 15 usage, how useful this refactoring function is useful for you. And I'm going to overwrite another function, another method. The cell for row and index path. And I can copy from history. Let's see, cell.textLabel.text. Now I want to use some attribute or method from this event to display on the label. I want to go to the definition of this class, and I found that I need a new method, which is event title, which is not provided now. So I can just write event title, and I can ask AMP code to create a new method for me. Now now it's created. I just return nil for now. Yeah. Also, if later I decided that I just want to use existing method, some time until event, and if I just go back to the event, I can see AppCode can tell me this method is useless, and it can shift delete this method. Okay, and if I do this thing differently, so if I start from inside this class, say event title, and to make it a public method, I can press Option Enter, and it can declare a method in the interface. So now it's in the interface. And besides this scenario, there's some. If I go to the serializer, for any given method, I can ask AppCode to show me the usage like this. Now I can easily jump to any usage of this class. Sorry, wrong one. For any given protocol, I can ask for the implementations. Yeah, those are all the implementations for this protocol. Okay. Now let me revert all the changes. For any class, I can jump to the related spec. What happened here? Okay. There's something wrong with my code base. Sorry for that. Okay. Let me quit and Unlike Xcode, in Xcode you can just run any single test, but in Xcode you have to run all of them. And the next functionality I'm going to talk is the live template. Take it, for example, in this KV spike, if I'm going to write a new test, I can write DES describe context before it. You can define your own shortcuts in any given context. For example, I'm going to create a new one. The live. It's called PROPS. I'm going to use this one to create a strong property. And then I can go back to any class. And if I write PROPS and tab, it will create this one for me. Then I can just write the other stuff. Yeah, and I think that is what I'm going to talk about today. So, any questions so far? Yes? Sorry? For example, I cannot run WatchKit in Xcode, and you have to use Xcode for interface builder. And you cannot archive. Yeah, there are lots of things you cannot do in Xcode, but when you write code, you will feel that this one is more productivity than Xcode. Yeah, lots of shortcuts and lots of refactoring function. Yeah.
Did they make the compile time quicker? Because I know it used to be a lot slower than Xcode.
Wow. Yeah. Steve? You just need some time to familiar with this. Because it really has lots of shortcuts. Yeah, it needs some time. And okay, sorry, I need to show something. This productivity guide. Maybe you cannot see clearly and back, but it says it saved me from typing at least 64K characters since last year. Yes?
It took me one day to learn, and it changed my life.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Yes? Sorry? Yeah, it supports Swift 2 up to now. Yeah. No. It-
So one of the things, Jackie's obviously
Yeah.
demoing Objective-C, and as an app code user for years, basically since version 2, it rocks for Objective-C. Like, it is night and day between Xcode and app code when it comes to the editor. Like, there are features that you need to use Xcode for, like the space border stuff, but the Swift is better than Xcode, but for refactorings, but its Swift support is pretty low on the ground at the moment. The 3.4 is promising, but the next version they're promising it last year. One of the advantages of Xcode for Swift is ironically source kit, in that it's constantly telling you what you're fucking up. Whereas app code is a lot more, it doesn't really run the compiler against your code all the time, so it's, you can write whatever you like, and not too sure will be whatever you're going to roll. So Xcode, if you're learning Swift, Xcode is probably a better platform to learn the syntax and all the different mediums and errors and what have you that you've got to deal with Swift. But if you're an objective, if you're most of your work in Objective-C, then app code is loads better work when it comes to everything.
Okay. Yes. 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 Yeah.
Just more of a question, like in the sense of, I use JetBrains tools, but not use app code. But surely if you can't archive an app code, you probably, is there a way to actually set up a script that you can call from within app code that would archive for you?
Yeah, you could.
I imagine
You could easily add a script scheme or something which invokes Xcode.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. Okay. Okay. Let me show you something. Thank you. I forgot. I have a card for that, but I forgot it. Okay. Let's see. Can you see the green color here? It means it's a new line. If I change something here, it's blue, which means this line is changed. And I think I did revert some code changes today, and I can show the history for any given file, and I compare the changes, and F7 can jump to the next change. And I can commit. You see the commit button here. So it's for the GitHub integration. It's not as powerful as SourceTree or some other GitHub clients, but for very basic usage, I think it's enough. Right.
One of my favorite features for app code with Git is the old git reset -- hard when I didn't mean to. And app code has got its own local history.
Yes.
So if you if you just rm -rf like a whole class and
Yeah.
somehow committed that reset hard or whatever,
Yeah.
app code keeps its own local history and it's constantly snapshotting your repo, and you can line by line, div by div, replace stuff that
Accidentally lost.
yeah.
Intentionally accidentally lost.
Okay. I think it's.
The local history in app code has saved my fucking life so many times.
Okay. Let's do the next. Just. Thank you.
Now is another quick time to refresh your beverage.
I had a question.
I saw you with your hand up.
So I'm wondering, you know, they did ReSharper for Visual Studio, which is amazing. Why didn't they make ReSharper for Xcode instead of like make your own crazy Russian?
So
Yep.
all right. So next up. So kind of hold it here. You should be able to hear your own voice through the.
I should.
You should like you'll hear yourself come through the things,
Okay.
but just kind of not too much. No.
Because I've done that once and I couldn't speak anymore because it was just really scary.
If you need to just pause, that's fine as well. All right. So Jennifer's up next to talk about crash report and other fun things. Sounds great. All right. You go.
Okay, my first ever presentation at CocoaHeads and in English, so I hope I do well. So tonight I'm going to talk about crash reports and other fun things. So this is going to be hilarious. How do I change? So who am I? Apparently I'm a crazy Swedish person. Who is currently working as an iOS developer at PaperCloud. I used to work with game development at Rovio before I came here, and also cloud computing in New Zealand. I don't have Twitter, but I have GitHub and my Instagram account with toilets. So check that one out. So crash reports. So I'm pretty much just going to talk about how you use them and how you get them from the user. And so yeah, everyone here, how many people have shipped an app? Pretty much everyone, yeah. So you spend a lot of months or maybe years to, you know, have this little puppy as good as possible, and you ship it out in the big world and you have no idea what's going on. And all these users keep getting crashes, and you can look at the reviews, and you know, they tell you, oh, it crashed all the time. And yeah, you wouldn't have released it if it crashed all the time, so you have no idea what's going on. So the app generates crash reports, but kind of stays on the user's device if you don't use tools to get them sent to you. And so yeah, that's the start. You can use some of these ones. I used to be a big fan of criticism, but looking at their website now, it feels like they've gone all corporate. And we're using Splunk at my current job, but I don't know, we're not very happy about it. So if anyone can come up and talk to me afterwards, have a go. So what these tools do is they pretty much take the crash reports and they send them to the user, and they promise a really easy integration, just one line, and they do all the analytics and statistics and all these flowcharts. So you do all this and you open the app and you kind of get presented this stuff. And like, this is not what I wanted. This is this is not from the website. This is an actual crash report from my OS X app that I prepared for tonight. But as you can see, the lines that we really want to have a look at, we can't read them. It's just memory address, and we're not a computer. So these tools usually ask for a DSIM. And you scratch your head and you're like, what is DSIM? And why doesn't it just do it? Because you're used to seeing stack traces that are symbolicated. So why is not this one? So the DSIM, it's actually the debug symbols which you strip from the executable when you package it. So you have a flag, in Xcode, so you just do the strip debug symbols during copy. And that's usually set to yes when you make release builds. And the debug symbols is pretty much human readable names which you strip out, which is one of the steps that Apple takes for you to make it harder to reverse engineer an app. So thank you, Apple. Wait. So okay, so you uploaded the app and you sit there with a bunch of DSIMs and you're not really sure which one to upload, or so one thing you have to make sure of is that the DSIM is the one that got generated when you did the build, because you can't really be sure otherwise. And one thing to check is that the UID matches. And to do that, just here we have my archive from my OS X app that I built, and you do a dwarf dump and -u to get the UID. And the DSIM is actually not a file, it's just a directory. So you go into that one. I don't know if you can see, so the content, resources, and dwarf folder, you have that little fella. And you can see it there, so it ends with 45. And you do the same on the executable, and it's a 45, so yeah, it's a match. We are able to use this one. And most of the cases, you can just use Xcode if you have a crash report with the correct header, for example, or you can just drop this one into one of your tools. But sometimes, stuff doesn't work. You hit the symbolicate button and it just won't symbolicate. So you sit there with your memory stack trace, and the app maybe have a crash for thousands of users within the past hour. You can't really do anything about it. And what you can do, if we go back and look at the so what you have here is the first address. As you can see, I'm too short. Shit. The first one, like the big one there, is actually the stack address. And the one next to it, as you can see, it doesn't change between the two lines. That's the application load address. So yeah. So you can pretty much use ATOS, which comes with your Mac, and so you type in ATOS and you specify the architecture, and if you want to get that one, just do file on your executable and you get for what architecture it's made. And it's usually ARM for iOS apps. So type in arc and then the object, and they're using the DSIM, which is in the dwarf folder, and the application load address, and then the stack address. And here you can see these pretty lines that we're so used to having on your left side in Xcode. I'm just gonna, where's my Xcode? Oh shit. Okay. Okay, fuck it. How do I make it bigger? Preferences. Okay. I should have done this before. Text. Fonts. This one, no. Ah, oh. Is it good? Yeah. Okay. So if we could see the stack trace, this is the only time Xcode is coming up, by the way, so don't worry. So yeah, here we can see we should have the crash. So yeah, apparently you can't do this. And yeah, I tried to insert nil in directory, but apparently it's harder to crash OS X apps. So yeah. Back to this one. And then exception types. Most people are more like used to seeing segment fault or bad access, but I'm gonna bring up a few babies that are quite funny, and you might not see them that often. It's the other exception types. So it's a hex code, pretty much. The first one is bad. And this indicates it's not really a crash report, it's more of a stack shot, which you can do if you hold down the home button and you press one of the volume buttons, and then you just take a stack shot of the entire system and ship it off. Apparently my friend sends these ones to Apple all the time. I don't know what kind of relationship they have. And then you have the deadfall, which is force quit iOS style. And so if anything, so yeah, it could be a crash report if the user is just really fed up that your app you can't do anything with it. So then you can hold down the lock button until the shutdown screen appears, and then you hold in the home button and just kills it. So that's a good thing. And then you have the cool off. The device just got too hot. Maybe you left it in the sun for an hour. Maybe it's not the developer's fault. So, and then the fun one here, ate bad food. So you know when you get a bit sluggish, you don't respond that quickly. So yeah, it took too long to launch, terminate, or respond to system events. So yeah. And here we have some links. The first one is really good. It just goes through all the different ways to symbolicate a crash. So all the stuff I mentioned here, and then the more basic stuff as well. And then Apple, to all the different exception types, they have more fun ways to use the hex. Like, yeah. And if you want to read about the Maco executables, is a good page to describes the parsing and how the linking works. And if you have no idea what a stack address is, I suggest you read about this one. Yeah. Any questions? Yeah.
Have you used the latest Crashlytics, which is part of the Fabric thing?
No.
I think it does it like automagically.
Yeah, but sometimes it just, yeah. That's, yeah, the first time I had to do this was when it wouldn't symbolicate. We had the right DSIM, because I used it in my terminal, but it's just like, nah, sorry, I can't DSIM. So.
Most of the crash reporting tools like Hockey and Crashlytics and Criticism and stuff will try, if you upload the DSIM as part of your process,
Yeah.
they will try and symbolicate your executables for you. I mean, they are just essentially calling the same tools which are phoning back.
Yep.
They're just taking your DSIM file, taking ATOS, and running the thing and going, hey, here's the symbols. And that's all Xcode is doing as well. When you see the crash reports in Xcode, and it symbolicates for you if you've got an archive of the DSIM and the executable.
Yeah.
If you don't have these things or something went wrong, it's really useful to know that you can run these things yourself just on the command line and figure it out. And sometimes that might be the case if you're using like internal beta builds or something. Or
If you have a boring night.
things on devices.
Well, it seems if you have used somewhere that's been indexed by Finder,
Yeah, there's some sort of spotlight relationship between Xcode and Xcode and DSIMs and stuff. Yeah. So sometimes it fails, surprising. Unsurprising.
more questions? Yeah.
Isn't really a question, but Xcode 7 added the crashes organizer.
Yeah.
You can use to download DSIMs for any test flight or App Store apps.
Yeah.
As long as you've got an iTunes Connect account added in your accounts list in Xcode,
Yeah.
it can download the DSIMs and crash reports as well, and see logic and regex.
Oh,
No
yeah.
public API for it yet, but it's in Xcode.
Works about as well as anything I can make.
Yeah.
I haven't tried it today. It might not work today.
Yeah, as I said, this is when it doesn't work, which might happen a few times, and I don't want you to sit there and like, I have no idea what I'm doing. So yeah.
It's like provisioning profiles. They always work 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Seamless process.
You?
I've never had it not work for me, so when it does not work,
Yeah.
will it one day eventually start working again, magically?
I don't know. I don't know why it didn't work to begin with, so I can't tell you if it starts working. So yeah, that's me.
All right, guys, we might get started. Pavel's going to kind of get going.
Yep.
Hi guys, I'm Pavel. To gathering telematics information use on something build it help recently. How we can build this site. So first, and next static fly, static fly application. So
I've lost my